and welcome back to the channel. And I'm very pleased today to have two guests. It's Tetsu and Nicolas, the organisers of LangFest in Montreal, which is coming up in only a few weeks' time. Now, welcome guys, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having us, Gareth.
Now, if you're regular on the channel, you may remember that I talked to Tetsu last year about LangFest, and could you remind us then what it's about for those of us who are new to the channel or new to the event, Tetsu?
That's right. Well, LangFest is short for Language Festival. It's just a gathering where people get together and talk about languages, discuss, share ideas, share tips, and simply just be with like-minded individuals. And it's just a big gathering that's happening in Montreal at the end of August. So we're talking about 23rd to 25th of August. That's coming up at the Université de Montréal.
And how does it differ from other language events? So I've not been yet, unfortunately, but I'm a regular at the Polyglot Conference and the Polyglot Gathering. Is it more of the same, basically?
No. You know what I would say? It is definitely something that has been inspired from these two great events across the pond. I guess, in Europe. We were really inspired by the Polyglot Conference that took place in 2015 in New York City. Nicolas, myself, and Joey Perugino, the other organizer, we got together and we decided to make something local, not so big, not so big as the other two events was our plan, but then it sort of took on a life of its own and became larger than what we had ever expected. But definitely with those two events, Polyglot Gathering, Polyglot Conference, we're like sister events. And I would say Polyglot Conference is really more geared towards, the conference type with more structured talks and speakers from academia and more language experts who are, I guess, I don't want to use the word qualified, but anyways, more structured, I guess is the right word. And then we have on the other extreme, the Polyglot Gathering, which is really a lot more participant contributed, I guess. And it's less formal and it's a longer period of time, I think 4 or 5 days. And I would say we're like right in the middle. We've got the workshops, more participant engagement and whatnot. We also have 2 days of really structured conference talks.
Is this the 4th year now that the event's taken place then, or was it the 5th?
Yeah, 4th year.
It's the 4th year, yes. And you're talking about the scheduling there, Tetsu. There are two heavy days, if I can put it that way, which are the Friday and the Saturday. But then you
Saturday,
have
Sunday.
The Saturday and Sunday, sorry.
Correct.
You have some events in advance then during the week.
So yeah, Saturday, Sunday are the full days from 9 to 5 or so. And then Friday is sort of when we kick it off. We start half day, but we also have a big event at night. And that's the event where we have our keynote speakers. And this is something special, but maybe we can talk about it a little later. But before the event, from Tuesday, August 20th, we have our kickoff event at the Mundo Lingo. This is, I think Mundo Lingo is pretty common elsewhere in the world, but Montreal, we have a big Mundo Lingo group. So we always work with them and start off our party from that point. And then Wednesday, Thursday, 2 days of visiting around Montreal. We have museum tours. We visit Old Montreal and various sites. What else do we have, Nicolas?
I think that's mostly it. I mean, we have little gatherings in bars at night, in restaurants, to get participants to get to know, both the city and each other. So it's a little bit of, I guess, an icebreaker. So for people who are there before the actual event, then they can get together in small groups and have fun.
So people who have not attended an event like this before and don't know anybody and are perhaps language enthusiasts learning their first language shouldn't be nervous about attending.
Absolutely
exactly.
not.
That's exactly the point. It's really when we get people to mingle informally before you know, before the structured talks, people talk, you know, they share and talk about each other's, you know, background and where they're from, and they get to know each other, and then they enjoy the talks.
Any day that you come, you'll find people who are interesting and interested in you, in why you're here, in your shared interests. So I think it's great for everyone, even if you've never had even the idea before to go to an event like this.
That's right. We get this a lot. You know, how many languages do you need to speak before you before you can attend an event like this? And you know, I think for us, we always say you can speak just one language as long as you're interested in languages.
Exactly.
If it's that love and passion that we're looking for, not the number of languages or your degree or expertise in language per se.
And I think that's the direction that we've been going as well. So, I mean, I guess we're at the beginning a little bit more focused on language learning, and obviously we have that in polyglot, and we had polyglot in our name the first year, but really it's about anything related to languages. So all you need is an interest, love for languages, language related topics, because we also have social topics related to languages, all sorts of things. That's what's needed, not any level specific, or a specific level or ability to speak various languages.
Let's focus in a bit then, Nicolas, on the actual program this year in terms of the topics that are going to be the subject of workshops or formal talks or whatever. Are there any particular themes that you're showcasing in 2019?
Yes. So obviously, as I was saying, we've catered to all sorts of audiences. We have workshops on all sorts of languages. This year, we're going to talk about a type of language that some people, actually that's getting more and more well known, I guess, which is constructed languages, because our keynote speakers are Mark Okrand, who is the creator of the Klingon language of the Star Trek franchise, and David J. Peterson, who is the creator of High Valyrian and Dothraki, which are the two constructed languages of the Game of Thrones series. So both of those obviously are very well known, so people might be acquainted with them, at least with the names. So this is something new that we haven't done before, really. Which is to talk about this community of constructed languages. Even though we've had in the past every year, because I'm also involved in that community, we talk about Esperanto, which is unlike the other languages that we're going to talk about with the keynotes, not an artistic language, but a constructed language for international communication, but still a constructed language. And it's very fitting because next year Montreal is going to be holding or hosting the World Esperanto Congress. So there's one every year. It's going to be the 105th World Esperanto Congress. So it's great that with all this activity happening in Montreal around languages, including constructed languages, that we can have for the first time together, because also that's also something that's great at this event. We're going to have Mark Okrand and David J. Peterson coming to our event, talking about what makes them tick, what their story, their languages, giving a great talk on the Friday, and each giving a workshop on their respective languages on the Sunday and the Saturday.
So Saturday would be Dothraki, the language in the Game of Thrones, and Sunday we'll have Mark Okrand talk about Klingon, a little workshop that he's going to give us. And as Nicolas mentioned, Friday is the big keynote event where we actually have both of them on stage at the same time. And this it's a historical moment for us, and I think for them too. They've worked together previously, but they've never given a talk together at the same time. And we just had an interview with them on our Facebook Live just a few days ago, and it's just shaping up to be an amazing presentation.
One of the good things, I think, which someone like me or you perhaps as attendees of events like this might not think about, is since these events have been going for the last 4, 5, 6 years or so, that we are an audience as well for different types of specialists who may not otherwise get a chance to either geek out or to share their expertise in the case of academic linguists beyond the solid ranks of undergraduate students or their academic colleagues. So I think, you know, those two keynote speakers are going to find a great audience, a very responsive and rather different audience in Montreal. So talking about individual languages then, besides the conlangs, I was having a bit of a look at the program earlier on, and some speakers are presenting specific languages.
Yeah, so we, unless you want to go Tetsu, but we have various languages that, we have language workshops every year, but this year there's languages that we've never done. So for instance, Breton, the language of Brittany in northwestern France. We're going to have someone present about that, Carl Haloy. We're going to have someone presenting, I think Azrin will be presenting about Gujarati. We haven't had that before. So we have language workshops of all kinds, and even though obviously we're going to have an emphasis on in terms of the keynotes on constructed languages, we're not forgetting that people are learning larger and smaller languages in terms of speakers, and I think they're going to be interested in what we have to offer them this year.
Yes, one I saw was Laurie Lucas talking about Yiddish, and another fascinating one actually, David Kersipoul talking about the pronunciation of Kosa.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes, he was supposed to present last year, but due to a conflict in his schedule, he couldn't present. But this year, we're very happy to have him on board and show us how to do those clicks.
yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's a click language, so it's going to be interesting.
That's certainly what I will regret missing. What about you? I'm always on the lookout for new methods or slightly unorthodox language methods. Nicolas, are there any particular innovative or unusual language methods being presented this year?
Usual language methods. Well, we're going to have things that we haven't had before. For instance, for people with an artistic bent, we're going to have some speakers present about writing poetry, writing workshop as well. That's the kind of things that we haven't had before. For people who are more linguistics minded, for instance, we're also going to have a presentation about intercomprehension between Romance languages. So how you can learn within a language family to understand the other languages pretty easily. So that's another, I guess, less orthodox method that people can use. In terms of
go into
yes,
there's also things like learning language from techniques and acting. We have two very strong actors. Yes, Mark Hashem and Big Bong. These are two guys who have their respective YouTube channel. They're comedians, actors. They work together. They work separately, but it's all about all these techniques from theater and how to think about. They're also multicultural. They have multicultural background, and they each speak 5, 6. I think Mark Hashem speaks 9 languages. So they draw upon these experiences and sort of present to the audience a different twist on different approach to language learning.
And Nicolas, you have, I think, Gretchen McCullough as well speaking.
Yeah, so it's going to be, so she's a linguist on the internet. Some people in your audience might know her. She's going to talk about the linguistics of texting, because the way people write in text isn't just random. It follows, like all languages, follows unconscious rules. So she's going to talk about what actually happens, how we convey meaning through text, because usually it's a little bit different compared to when we talk.
And Nicolas, will the talks be recorded and put up on YouTube afterwards? Do you do that?
We do that for all the talks, not for the workshops, which are more participant oriented. So I mean, there's less of an interest, because we're trying to get people to participate. It's the interest is to be there, is not necessarily to watch it. For the the talk tracks, which we have two. We have three tracks, so one of talks and the third one of workshops. That's of course that's something we've been doing for the past 2 years. Actually, even the first year we had some. We had some, but we've been doing it consistently for the past 2 years.
And Nicolas, other languages of presentation, French and English, 50-50 split, or how does that work?
Yeah, this year we're actually very close to a 50-50 split in terms of French and English, which are definitely the two. Well, first of all, they're the languages that people would understand in a Montreal / Quebec / Canada context, but also people coming from abroad. We have a lot of people from the US, for instance. We found that French was one of the top languages apart from English that were spoken. So it's I think completely fitting for the event to be bilingual this way, and I think it's the most bilingual year. We've had languages in talks in both languages every year, but this year we're very close to a balance between both languages, and well, personally, I'm very happy about that.
Tetsu, if we could just to finish up, maybe return to some of the practicalities. What about accommodation and catering for people coming to LangFest?
Yes. So when people ask us about accommodation, we usually offer two solutions. And the first one is we usually direct them to websites like booking.com or hotels.com. These are very efficient, and I use it all the time when I travel myself, and they've got very, very competitive pricing. Of course, there's Airbnb that everybody knows about, and in that context, the second solution I usually offer is to have them join our community in our Facebook group. So if you go search for LangFest on Facebook, you'll find our Facebook group, also our Facebook page. But if you join the group, you can throw out a little message saying, you're coming when and which dates. And then if there's people who want to share accommodations, there's usually people who get together and then they share an apartment or something. So those are the two methods I usually offer the folks.
And is there a good underground system or public bus system or taxi?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's right. So the event will be held at the University of Montreal, and the best metro station is Université de Montréal. There's also another one, Côte des Neiges. These two, the venue is right between the two, and it's very easy access. Montreal's metro system is very efficient. So if you find a hotel or a little place that's near any of the metro stations in Montreal, you'll find your way very easily, very quickly.
And at lunchtime, is there a catering facility on the university campus?
So what we're trying to do right now, well, there's a lot of places right near the campus. Within a 5-10 minute walk, there's many places. But also what we're trying to do right now is there's a big cafeteria right in the venue that we're holding the event. I can't guarantee, but what we're trying to do is get that cafeteria to be open during that weekend. Because it's summer, usually they're closed, but it's still in the works.
Well, we'll see what happens there, but it sounds like there are plenty of other alternative places anyway. And I suppose the final question would be then, how much does it cost and how can people go about getting tickets for the event, Tetsu?
Okay, so where can you get the tickets? That's the easy question to answer. Go to langfest.org. And you have all the information, including a ticketing widget, and all the speakers and all the agenda. Everything's there, langfest.org. Now, as for the ticket prices, this is important to note that we sell tickets in batches or in groups, and we've been doing this since end of last year. So we started in groups, and it's selling up. We're in the third group right now. So every group that sells out, the price goes up. So you have the interest to get on there and purchase as quickly as possible so that you can purchase in the lower pricing groups. And currently it's at 117 Canadian dollars, which is like $3.50 in US, I think. Yeah, it's so 117 plus plus taxes and admin fees and whatnot from our broker. So that is for the 3-day tickets, and also there's a 1-day ticket, so you can buy a 1-day ticket, come whichever day you want, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. And there's also individual tickets for that keynote the keynote event with the what would you call it? The language creators night is what we call it. That's right, language creators night, and also a ticket for the 2 workshops, the Dothraki and the Klingon workshops. So those are the different types of tickets that are available. And for your audience, Dr. P, DRP, we'll simply take that and create a promo code for your audience. They can enjoy a 15% off the current price, whatever the price tickets are, the 1-day and the 3-day tickets. If you go right now, it's $117 minus 15%. But as it goes up, whatever price it is, you'll get a 15% off that. All right, is that good for your audience?
I think that's very good. Thank you very much. Well, that's a great way to finish. Nicolas, do you think you'll actually get any time to attend any of these workshops and talks yourself, or will you both of you actually be running around like headless chickens trying to keep things together behind the scenes?
We always run around, that's for sure. But I do try to attend some of the talks. Sometimes I also monitor the talks, which gives me something to do while I'm actually, also listening to the speaker. I was very glad last year that that all the talks had been recorded, because I've watched several of them afterwards. Yeah,
that's right.
I thought were interesting, because I thought we had a great program and I wanted to actually be there. But unfortunately, at times, as organizers, you're needed elsewhere. So that's it's part of the job.
Well, thank you very much, guys, for taking the time to tell us all about LangFest. And I do hope that you do get some time to enjoy it yourselves, and you're not having to catch up with everything on your YouTube channel afterwards. But once again, then, thanks very much for taking time to tell us all about LangFest. Folks, if you've got any questions, then you can go to the website. I'll link underneath to that. You can also find LangFest's Facebook group and page, as Tetsu was saying. And you can also, of course, drop comments in the comment section underneath this video. Thanks a lot to both of you for taking.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for having us.
And thanks a lot, everyone at home. Don't forget to subscribe for the vibe, think about a thumbs up, tickle that bell, and share your fare. See you next time, folks. And bye, guys. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye-bye.